strike down my video if what I post, and seems like how that was before in 2014 on an old camera device, that apparently the restaurant that we own carried off that it was not me responsible for something that posted on a rap CD from somewhere from 2010, that things turned sour for them, and I don't know if they can't say that it doesn't include me when they use your last name or tag on a rap music video saying that, I forgot how the lyrics go, but something about they were near Ortega's, a restaurant, and you don't see like a single penny from anything like CDs and stuff, like, and they don't really believe like how things, in terms of just like how it all from themselves, and you just figured it isn't fair in terms of someone. At one point, my uncle Guillermo used the address that we were at for like for 2003 all the way up until 2019 to like shops and stuff, like auto parts stores and everywhere else. Because when we looked up, they said you were Guillermo and it used our address, and that doesn't really put like a safe. Even though only a few things happened, still isn't right how that dude did that. We never got mad at him, but he gets mad at stuff saying that the friends that he had on Facebook, that one Moab and that Danny were friends with my uncle and aunt, and the dude originally threatened me back in 2014, and in 2015 I got injured off that guy, and it was intended because the dude had threatened me in 2014, and they don't take your word for it because of the way, like, if someone threatened you and he didn't throw like a fist or anything, and you go back and say, hey, I didn't throw a fist at this dude, it seems like it's fair enough to seem like how the person hides behind all those people, and then they think they're all like better than everyone else, and they try to switch their stories. And I was cleared off 3 eyewitnesses back in 2015 in terms of just trying to talk with them, and it seems like how if they had said something else, like in terms of how a person's demeanor changes after that, like you don't feel comfortable and we move because these people would walk past saying you're going to go to jail, saying you have to redraw it all and cut it all. And I had video demonstration of it, and if they don't believe it's you, how come I'm spelling out my last name Ortega? And it's just something that you go through back and forth with these people, like, on something that you took photostamp copies of saying that you didn't draw that well and I've seen better art, and they thought I had a tattoo on my hand when it was me demonstrating what I could do. They didn't really take it seriously and just laughed. So I just figured it wasn't fair in terms of these people act like assholes and they're just ignorant, and ignorance is bliss. So they can't throw someone in jail after their parents die because you'd be grieving. And it just seems like it's a fucked up world in terms of how people say you're going to get sued off this guy. You can't sue a blind person. So you can go back and counter sue them off distress because they have to get you out the moment. Or you can sue for distress. Because it's like it's taking so much time off what you could be doing for yourself and be able to proceed with something if they wrote to you. And I have nothing on my background. If I can enter hospitals, fine, and not get thrown up in anywhere. Like, it'd be different if I went to a hospital and then soon thereafter got arrested for whatever, but they clear you off stuff that if, for whatever reason, back then they didn't have nothing really against me that I'm aware of, but then they turn back and say, why did we clear this guy? We should have thrown him in. But they can't, the hospitals can't even throw me in if that's the case, because they cleared me and I have all the documentation still of it, even though I posted it all out. Somebody said, why did you post off your medical history? Well, it's because I was trying to demonstrate my side, and I couldn't go to a news station with it all because they didn't interview me back then. It fell on deaf ears, but they should be able to at least hear your side in terms of how things are. And I'm just rambling on, but you think somebody was clear as day. 2015, happened in 2014. It was when the Royals almost won the World Series back then and won in 2015. Well, in 2014, the dude threatened me outside a restaurant, walking past it at night, saying I looked old and saying that I was like such and such because he reads the obituaries. And the story that I wrote down clear as day, my side on Twitter through someone that could help me out. I don't know how. Like, I went to concerts back then thinking that I would see one of them there, and it was at a place where, like, you'd think you would see someone there that was like that you chat with on Twitter. And I know I seen them back then, 2004, 2006, 2016 at Comic-Con, people that were with the radio station. And then I seen people there 2019 at the Harris with Channel 9, and we were on a segment with the Thanksgiving and that. So I watched Channel 9 News a lot because I seen Martin Augustine as he was walking to the plaza back in the day. I don't know if I could get on the news somehow to explain my side of things, to intervene like something bad happening, but it just seems unfair because the only outlet you have is YouTube in terms of explaining your side, and the fingerprints and whatever never match, and even if they feel threatened by it, they're still breathing. I mean, I'm not capable of doing anything towards anyone because of the condition I'm in. I'm barely alive myself because you see I look thin and I lost a bunch of weight because of the stuff that carries me through being at a hospital, like appointments going back and forth to them and stuff, and I'm not crying to them, but it just seems sort of like unfair in terms of like how people perceive you to be scum. And like, if I was scum, like, in terms of that, it wouldn't, like I'm not, like, in people's faces with this shit. They don't have to watch anything I post. I mean, just ignore it. Like, I'm not up in the grill about stuff, and this is just a platform to get your side heard. They can't go back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years later, and then throw you in after your parents die, because you can, in fact, countersue them. And we do have a lawyer that back then thought I was a violent guy, got me cleared of stuff. I used to go by Brave Fencer Vita because Vita was the handheld console, and I liked Brave Fencer Musashi. It wasn't because I was an illegal, but figured how things and people will say things because you might appear Hispanic, or you're half, like, you have ancestors that stem from being Indian, from being Caucasian, on people that looked clear as day Caucasian. And I never fully explained things because I thought it was self-explanatory, like, just how, like, if like one person says one thing and then all those people, they carry themselves like they're saints and stuff, and then when there's stuff on them, they act like they don't give a shit, and then they say, who cares? And then they're just fucking just the scum themselves. No one's perfect, I understand that, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I never once claimed anything other than out of anger, wrote that because it didn't seem right, because these people get away with shit. And this isn't fair because if people keep saying you're not going to be in this earth that much longer, if something does occur, they'll dust for fingerprints and catch them, and whatever they have written out in between that or saying that in the court of law they'll get tossed up in something pretty easily compared to someone who doesn't have anything on the record, isn't capable of doing something towards someone in terms of how like people perceive you to be. In terms of that, they can't say you're the one because there's nothing clear as day right in between stuff. There's nothing in writing. And I'm not the type of person that would verbally want somebody gone from this earth like how they are in terms of how things were.